All right, guys, so the alpha tech test for Scars of Honor is underway. We are currently on day 7 or so, and I'm roughly around 20 hours in. I haven't been able to play the past couple of days because the Far Ever Early Access just launched, and I've been having a really good time playing that game so far, which, by the way, I'm also going to make a review on that after I hit the 20-hour mark, which is probably by today or tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, a lot of you guys want to know what my thoughts are on Scars of Honor. So I thought I would put together this quick little video. There really isn't much to say when it comes to Scars of Honor right now, simply because it's very undercooked, right? This is an alpha tech test, as you may have heard. And prior to the alpha tech test coming out, the owner came out and did say that this would be an undercooked, bare bones version. It would not be very polished, and it's only 10% of the game. There's really only so much I can say other than the fact that he is absolutely right. It is absolutely a buggy mess, right? But you know, you could absolutely argue that's what you would expect from an alpha tech test, which I know would spark a whole nother debate, because there's some people that think this is terrible for an alpha tech test, and some people were saying that this is great for an alpha tech test. I'm not here to have that debate. I'm just here to tell you guys what my experience was like and what my thoughts are. And my thoughts are that this is a generic theme park MMORPG currently, this alpha tech test, with very limited content. That's fine, right? So this game is not being carried right now. No one's having a ton of fun right now with this game because of the content. It's very limited. You go in there, there's like a short little MSQ that you go through. You know, you finish some quests and you kill some mobs, you level up, you build out your character, you gear up your character. It's very limited in that. But I don't think anyone's really complaining about a lack of content. Most of the complaints are stemming from the amount of bugs, the amount of lack of quality of life, and just how unpolished this game is. And I would say that criticism is fair. It is correct. I think even the people defending this game would agree that it is not in a very good state right now. The only difference in mindset and perspective is that the people positive about this game are okay that it is not in a good state, that it has time to cook. And the people that are negative about this game are also obviously in agreement that it's not in a good state, but they would extend that point by saying it's not only in a poor state, but it's in an awful state, and it has no hope, and it is years and years away from being good. What do I think? I think I am not a game developer, so I have no idea how long some of these things will take to fix. Hopefully, I hope they can get this done in the next year, because they are targeting an early 2027 launch, early access launch. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. It does seem like a lot of the issues, though, seem to be smaller issues. Obviously, there are core issues like these mobs running in place, which is a great example. I'm going to run up to those mobs here in a second. But I did put together a little notepad here that includes a lot of my suggestions. And this is just, this notepad, by the way, was just through like the first 2 days. And if you read through this, which I'm not going to read through this, feel free to pause the video if you'd like and take screenshots or whatnot. It's a lot. It's the list is long, and it would have probably been longer if I continued to play for the past couple of days. But most of it are smaller things, right? If we look at the bugs specifically, here are a bunch of bugs. Targeting overall clunky. Tab targeting on another target after killing a mob does not work sometimes. A fix like this, I don't know. How easy is it? I have no idea. Turret is dealing 1 damage. Fix like this, I would imagine, is easier. I don't know. Camera panning is buggy, jerks sometimes. You know, there's just a lot of bugs, but some of these are, I would say, relatively easy to fix, I would imagine. Cogwheel on the chat not working. For example, this was more of a suggestion, but the ability to bind my keys, custom key binds. Now, I will say this, though. There are some things that are present in the game where I don't really understand how it wasn't seen prior to this test, right? I get that a lot of issues become exposed when there are a lot of people playing the game, but some of these things just, I feel like if they had even a small group of people testing the game, they would have been able to see it, right? Let me give you an example. We're going to this mob right here. And as you can see, there are little white arrows that indicate that I'm on this target. When this game first came out, the alpha tech test, day 1, there was no indicator. And it would be very hard, especially if I'm cycling between the same mobs, it would be very difficult to distinguish which mob I was actually on. The mob that I was on was only represented by this red circle that's on the ground, and that could be pretty difficult to see, especially if you have like AoEs and stuff. So this has been already fixed or improved with these, but like this right here is still, in my opinion, not very good. It doesn't look polished. I'm pretty sure this is just more of a band-aid. But the fact that there was no indicator kind of blew my mind, because I was like, you play the game, even if you're a solo player, you play the game for even like a couple of hours, you go out there, kill mobs, you're gonna notice this immediately, like, oh my gosh, I can't see which mob I'm on, and you're gonna click on a mob and the nameplate, nothing changes. So some of these things I didn't really understand, like keybinds also not being available, not being able to custom keybind. Oh, I guess they just added this. There you go. They just added this. So originally this was also not in the game. So these are the types of things that put a real sour taste in the mouths of a lot of people that tried it day one. And I gotta agree with some of the criticism there, because yeah, like I said, some of this stuff, how was that not really seen even prior to this? Because surely they've done some level of testing before this. And I do believe that if they at least delivered some of these changes prior to the alpha tech test, it would have been at least a little better received. But, you know, to give them credit, they have been improving a lot of these things relatively quickly through the test. Like, for example, keybinds are already in the game. They did actually, it doesn't look very pretty, but they did actually add this little marker to the nameplate. Other issues, like I had this 24/7 graphics bug where this little aura would not go away, and it would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It wouldn't go away unless I relogged. That was also fixed. So I do got to give credit to the team for addressing a lot of these issues through the test as fast as they can. But I got to admit, if I'm being honest, I don't understand how some of them even made it to this stage, even though it is an alpha tech test. Outside of the bugs though, if we were to just talk about the combat is pretty standard tab targeting. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's not amazing, right? Like these abilities look pretty good, look pretty decent, but it just feels a little floaty for me. Still, some of the abilities not so much, but some abilities do feel really just weightless and kind of floaty. Hopefully they can improve on that. But the animations don't look too bad, right? Like the animations of these little things, the animations of the characters could definitely use some work. But yeah, it's not terrible, but it's also nothing special. I think where it stands out on a more positive note is the play style and the builds of some of these classes. Like my class right here, this is a mage, and I'm playing it with a two-handed greatsword, and I'm playing it as a melee battle mage that's a tank, which is very interesting, right? Every time I use my 4 ability, which is on a 25-second cooldown base, and I've spec'd it so that it's down to a 1.6 second cooldown, it's giving me a shield each time I use it. It's giving me a big shield. And if I use this ability, I get another shield. This ability, I don't have it spec'd right now. And then I'm just constantly spamming this 4 ability. It kind of shoots out these two little spectral blades, I guess, or whatever those are. I think it's called a spectral blade. Yeah. And it cleaves everything that it goes through, and it just feels pretty fun to use. I've kind of spec'd everything into it. So the builds are pretty interesting, and right there also the movement feels pretty good too. That blink was pretty smooth. However, because the servers have not been performing very well, the movement, like that right there, there's a clear difference between that first blink and the second blink, right? So those are some more, you know, issues that are being highlighted currently. But anyways, when it comes to the actual build itself, this whole thing is probably one of the better features of the game, because you can make some pretty interesting builds. You can't really right now, it's pretty limited because we're obviously at level 16, 17. You've got less than 40 talent points, right? There's only so much you can do. Not to mention this entire tree is supposed to be even bigger for the full launch. So yeah, with this combat system coupled by the scars system, which isn't really a thing right now in this beta test or this alpha test, is pretty interesting. I think the build variety and the way you go about making your character and putting it together, I think that's definitely one of the more standout features of the game, and I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I would say for me personally, it's the hard carry of the game. But yeah, who knows what it's going to be like or how it's going to feel at the end game, because even ARPGs end up having meta builds for everything, right? So yeah, if we were to summarize this here, we've got a theme park MMORPG that's very limited in content, and that content is very undercooked. Lots of bugs, lack of quality of life, all of that stuff. It's early, so really it's just going to come down to how fast they can polish it up, make it feel like a much better product, and obviously fix all these major issues that currently make the game borderline playable. Well, at least the first few days it was borderline playable. I don't know how it's feeling now. I think it's still kind of, the fact that I blinked twice and one blink was drastically different than the other, I think that was a good representation. Believe me when I say those blinks were even more clunkier and heavier and laggier before in the previous tests. I am definitely seeing improvement through the days, but obviously nowhere near good enough to actually be not even early access ready, but beta test ready, I would say. A lot of you guys have been asking me for my rating on this game, and I know some of you guys watching probably wouldn't be too happy with me rating an alpha test, but I'm gonna give you guys a rating anyway, just because I do want to be pretty clear with where I stand with this right now. Given the fact that we're limited on content, I'm obviously not going to knock off any points for having a lack of content, but if I were to rate it based off of what we're given, I would give this a 2.5 out of 10. Obviously, this game has a lot of room for improvement, but I don't see any reason why they couldn't get there. There's no way I can give this more than a 2.5 right now, though, because it is genuinely barely playable, I think, right now. But, this is what alpha tech tests are for. So hopefully they can take this information and cook us a better game. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I'm streaming MMO content daily. I'll see you guys in the next video.